Okay.
Well, okay.
Kentucky, what?
Kentucky was represented well at the January board meeting. They had quite a few there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I hadn't talked to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Uh, so I sent to everyone, even those who I knew weren't not going to be here tonight, the agenda, so that as you as we move forward with what's happening on the agenda, I have suggested goals, and we may want to look at those and maybe change the wording or whatever. Or if you're fine with the way it's worded, I'm okay. If not, we can change things around. The purposes that we had set before us was to determine a unified disposition of BNF state chapter dues and develop a pathway for new chapters to be formed. And those are the two tasks that we've been charged with. And if we want to be more specific on the goals, or if you're okay with they are, what do you think?
Um, One thing I would like to add, because I was looking back at old emails that Nathan and I had copied you, Charlotte, on some of them. And the last one I had asked him, this was when, let me just read this to you because this will make more sense if I just read it. This was from February of last year. And this was
Okay.
when Barbara had asked me about if they could use Facebook to, I mean, not Facebook, if they could use Give Butter to advertise. So, anyway, here is the question. Since our membership is national, is there any way that the states can advertise functions on the national site specifying the state? If this is if this is possible, if we hold an event that cost, can people register there? This is Barbara's question. I did Eventbrite last year for the Louisiana retreat, and because it was more than $600 collected, I had to give my personal Social Security number as tax ID. We're too small to incorporate or be an LLC. Is there any way the states could use Give Butter for their financials? Same reason as above. As you check, do you think the folks could also register for what they want to attend? It would be perfect if that was possible, and the money would go straight into LA financials. I think this would be helpful in case the leaders in Louisiana or other states check out of here. There wouldn't be some off account with money in it. I'm worried that Louisiana has now $4,000 in bank and growing. We are better together. Okay. So I think that might be another question besides the dues. Well, with the dues, we need to think about if they're going to receive dues, how are they collected and who holds the bucket? And then the other thing is, can they advertise and put events on Give Butter like we do for the summit? And when I looked back at Nathan's response, also in February of last year, he said, that we could look at that, but it seemed to be extending the responsibilities that we have for our original contract. So
Mhm.
anyway, tonight when I saw that, I went back and replied to him again and said, I can't remember if I ever replied to this because it was in the middle of when Eddie was sick and all that. And I said, we are happy to, renegotiate all that. And I said, but I think a time after we come to this, after this task force comes to a conclusion of what we want to do, then we'll know more of what we need from them. And the other thing
Mhm.
I asked him is if he or one of them could come to our next meeting or a meeting and explain
Mhm.
their side of how it is collecting state dues and what their suggestions for making it
I
easier.
think I think that's an excellent idea because my thinking is if we could have a unified effort, uh, unified approach to collecting the dues from all the states, that would be less of hassle for them if they
Yeah.
had a method.
Yes.
Now, whether or not the states who already have set up, like through WMU, uh, but I think if we do it for one, I think it needs to be the same. If you know, if we because that would be less work for them if every state was treated the same, if we wanted to go that approach. If not, we may have to find a different way. If the states who presently go through their state WMU and they're happy with that and they don't want to change, we may have to uh, see how that would work
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
The
what
state,
would be yeah. I mean, to me, one of the things was we could have that option. We could have two. One that would go through because basically we're talking about dues and the dues that are collected and kept and things like that. And so we know with those, like for instance, with Alabama, for right now, uh, those dues are handled by the WMU group. So if
right.
there was a state that did not have a WMU group that, you know, um, handled their financial part of it, then, you could set up whatever would be relevant uh, for them. Because
Mhm.
right now and I don't know how many states that have um, they have WMU that's helping do their finances. Like I think
Three.
with Barbara,
There's three.
just three, yeah.
Mhm.
And so if we've got 30 something states right now that do not have that, I mean, I think the three, even though they're in the minority, I don't think that would um you know mess up I mean, I'm saying look at the other 30, the 27 other states. Just let's focus to me on that, on how that would work.
I
Well,
know at one point, this was more than a year ago, um, Nathan had said to me, and we were just chatting about this. He said he compares it because he does a lot of work with churches, and he said when you look at a church's budget and you start dividing it for this special thing and this special thing and this special thing, then the pie gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And he said maybe if you had one amount to join BNF, and then if each state wanted to submit a request when they needed money for something, or we could set up in the budget, okay, every year every state gets so much money that comes out of those dues. We send that to however they collect them in the state. That's just one idea that he could probably
mhm.
explain better than I can. But I
Yeah.
think those are some of
The
the
other
things
thing
we have
is
to look
this.
at.
Louisiana, for example, this is like Kentucky used to do that and then they quit.
Hmm.
Um, and then Louisiana, all of a sudden they said they weren't going to do it anymore. So we don't, so that's the one of the things that happened. And we can't be assured that always that the state, for example, Alabama right now has somebody who's really interested in doing, well, what if that changes and the next person, that's what happened in Louisiana. The next person who came in wasn't didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
And because it does take time from their staff to manage it.
Yes.
Uh, and I know that budgets in the state WMUs has gotten there, some of them don't have the staff, and it's just like the national used to provide all this stuff for us, and now they don't do any of that. I
Mhm.
mean, they give us support in the sense that they do contribute something, but not
Yeah.
on the level of providing for personnel or those kind of things. So I think we need to uh, I'm not saying that uh, to do away with the state support if that's what Uh,
What we receive only the national dues is was $65. So we receive we pay our state dues is $10. At one time it was 25, and this has been several years ago. Um, Candace cut it down to $10. So we have we don't really, my understanding in there, we don't have a line budget per se. Only thing is on that quarterly basis when that $10 per person's renewal or joining is given to it. That's all that we as members do.
mhm.
So what we do, we've been the WMU has taken care of the state president's um, summit when they come. That's paid by the state, the state's WMU. They, you know, on occasion have given for the souvenir booklets, those kinds of things like that. And so she, like I say, we don't have, I don't know how much the souvenir, like for instance, BNF, Alabama BNF does not have that kind of money. So when we have our retreats, we have the retreat there at the WMU camp now because we used to have it at Shaco. Shaco has just gotten too expensive, so we had it at started having it at the retreat. So basically, we have to have like 28 people or more to fill a particular room. If we don't have that amount of money because like the membership, we don't have the membership to come or don't have the people to come to, I'm just saying like a $700 say for that weekend, then our WMU people will cover that. We'll cover that plus, some of our speakers and things like that. So I guess one of my question would be is if we had, like we have a BNF retreat that's coming up in March. Well, how would we as the state, I know once we have all of our um, amounts and things like that, all of our budget rather, how would we come to the national to say and to make that request that we need those X number of
Mhm.
dollars for
Uh,
that? You know, you
right,
know,
right. I don't, uh, well, I don't think that if if all the dues, just a supposition, what I've been thinking about, if all the dues were collected and were held in under the BNF umbrella, uh, that would not mean that the state WMU couldn't donate uh, whatever they chose to do. But I think that would be down the road. We could those
yeah,
are details that we would have
yeah,
to iron
yeah,
out.
and I would think that if that was going to be the case, then because looking at the membership, people pay the state, well, members pay different things. So right now, the state that does not have chapter, my understanding is the only thing they're going to pay is the $65 if they're
Correct.
active. So the
Correct.
only other additional from I think North Carolina has like $25 for state.
Correct.
One of them have like it's like $90 or something like that that
Yeah,
they
that's
pay.
North
So
Carolina.
that they're
Right.
probably one of the highest far as membership, you know, that's on there.
One thing
So
I think we should put that we need to look into is what do other nursing organizations do when they collect dues? How does the ANA? Because there's other all kind of
yeah.
professional organizations that have because that's what we looked at when we were trying to combine uh, where you paid to the state and you paid to the national, so we put it all together. And we said that's what other organizations do. You just pay to the national. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
So I
And
think we should look and see what's being done.
Well, with
yeah, I I think also, if I'm correct, is go way back and I can't hardly remember, but I think see we used to be called Alabama used to be called Tennessee Valley Baptist Nursing Fellowship, and we had our own little I mean account for our post office. We had whatever number you needed for the banking, the federal, numbers and things like that. And that's like I say, what instead of Barbara using her own personal stuff, there's other means, that you can be doing that. But I think a lot of people, a lot of states lost membership because when there was a question on okay, we were all states, but once if you want to join the national, so people were starting to look at okay, we got to pay national dues and we got to pay state dues. And I think during that period, if I'm not mistaken, we lost a lot of people
we
just
lost
for that. Or
some.
we,
That's true. After when we voted in, I can't remember the year. It seems like it was like 2000, and it was in 2014, maybe 2015.
yeah, seemed
It
like it's
was
further back than that, but okay.
yes, we had like in Kentucky, we only collected. I mean, I always paid the whole. I paid national. We had some people who paid national and state, but
Mm-hmm.
we had people who were only members of Kentucky, uh, and so we had a lot more members. But and some of them decided not to join, and so I'm not sure that that was all of it because a lot of the people who did not had already, basically were getting or aging out or not
No.
really wanting to do things. So there was some loss, but I'm not sure what the numbers are. I think we could
Mm-hmm.
go back and look at that. But once uh, it really increased the membership of the national in the long run, and it increased our revenue. Uh, but I don't think we want to go back by no means. But I think it would be good to go back to like it was before.
No, I don't know. I
Uh,
don't think either. I would
would be
not
an
suggest that.
option. Now I do know that um, the nursing when I was on the board of the KNA, and that's been over 10 years ago, but um, all the dues were collected by the American Nurses Association, and then depending on the membership in each of the states is how much money that went back to the states. But of course, there were a lot more members than what we have, and they usually had hired. They had a staff. We had a staff that managed the money. So I think that is how, and I think the national, see the nursing Christian fellowship does
Yeah.
not uh, have state chapters, do they?
Yeah,
That
they do.
The,
They have campus, but I don't know how they do their money. Um,
because I think you can have a state. Uh, well, it's all collected together, I think. Whatever,
I think
but
that's something that, you know,
we can.
different ones of us can take different organizations and research
Yes,
that.
yes. I think that would work.
mm-hmm.
Okay. So what was the other goal that you wanted
Well,
to
to
put
add in
that?
that about um, looking at states using Give Butter to advertise and collect money for their events, like
Okay.
Charlotte's Alabama retreat. Would we be able to promote that on Facebook and collect the money through Give Butter, instead of them having to collect it there in Alabama?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because right now it goes directly to the WMU office.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
They register.
Okay. I think we looked at the need for the beginning of this, and then it's expanded because uh, we don't want members like what Barbara had to do was to be responsible for a bank account related to the BNF
Right.
because that can lead to um, financial issues for the person,
Mhm.
and then also uh, it leads to some other problems for the person who's doing it, as far as money and
That's,
trust, that kind of thing. It's not that you don't trust, but I've been in enough organizations to know that that just doesn't work.
okay.
Uh,
Charlotte, let me
yeah.
let me ask you this because I know part of Barbara's story, not all, but did they even try to, did she even try to set up to get a federal number for the banking
Well,
account and
I
or the
yeah,
post office?
it was
And
the fact that they didn't have it. Uh, I'm not exactly sure what all the issue was,
this is not in a
but
person's name,
but
you know.
uh, right. And I think I don't know what there's a lot of regulations on that now with the tax exempt. I'm not sure
Yeah,
what they are and how many people you have to have and the amount of money. I think all of that plays a factor. But
Yeah.
maybe Barbara can explain
yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering, what she did because I mean, we didn't have nearly as many people as we have now. But like I say, we set it up not in a person's name, but like I say, it was called the Tennessee Valley
Right.
thing,
Right. And I
and
think too also the tax laws have changed in the tax exempt status and that kind of thing. I know there's some issues that
yeah, I was okay. Just yeah,
related to that, but I'm not sure.
okay.
Uh,
So, Marilyn, you said there were uh three. Is it North Carolina, South Carolina, and
Alabama.
Alabama? Is
Yeah.
those the ones that their WMU group? Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Because see, what's her name? Candace. Like I said, we were paying initially when Alabama went with the national. Our dues was at $25, and that we paid to the state.
Hmm.
And she cut that down because she didn't think, I guess, at that time that we we needed that money, you know. So she cut it down, and we put in, because right now, like I say, I feel that the state dues $10 is you know no money at all, and that's but if they can take on to help us with that, fine. So only thing that I would see is that we would have to increase our state dues, to be able to do the things that we would like to do.
And I think we could look at grants and those kinds of things that we can, resources
Yeah, that's one of the things I
for.
want, Debbie, because she keeps, we know that we have the grants and we have the capabilities of doing writing those grants and things like that. That's,
Okay,
I was
so I
just
think
thinking we had the
uh,
option.
we can look at us asking different people to do some research.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I think Marilyn, if you worked with Nathan, and if if you looked at your calendar, when I checked the BNF calendar, the 23rd uh, is a Tuesday. I believe that's right. Um, that would be the
23rd
first
is on a
available
Monday.
is, is Monday. Yes,
Uh-huh.
I'm
It's the
sorry.
last Monday.
Uh, because I looked at the February calendar and we have, of course, the ET meeting on the 17th, and then the 16th was the page turner,
Mm-hmm.
and the 12th was the BNF education opportunity. And
Right.
then when I looked at the team meetings, it looked like the 23rd was the first time that. So would that work for you all to
Yeah,
maybe that
for
would
me,
give
so
us
I'll
a
ask
month?
Nathan.
Yeah.
Does that work for you, Marilyn?
I'll I'll talk to Nathan. Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. So then if I make assignments and send them to Libby and Penny and to Barbara, and they listen to this discussion, and then so we would need somebody. I think Libby might have a good pulse on what other organizations, she's in education,
Yeah.
Hmm.
uh, and ask her to see what other nursing organizations, how they chart, what their fee
Hmm.
uh, schedule is, and who collects, and how they handle that. And then, uh, and I think Penny, if she could look at the three states that we know already that the WMU manages their funds, and how that is done, and how much it costs the local or the state WMU in staff position, or what kinds of other things that cost them.
Hmm.
If Penny can do that, uh, and Barbara uh, could possibly, I think, give a testimonial of what happened in Louisiana, and what kinds of things that she had to do in order uh, to have the money in her account,
Yeah,
and the angst that that has caused her uh, for having to do that.
right.
Okay, so that would be those, and then Charlotte, we could with your, I know you're going to be really busy, so I don't want to add anything, but what about if between the both of us that we look at ways of forming new chapters and some of the
Yeah, that's
suggestions
good.
that have come out, and give, you know, we can talk at
Right.
the retreat, and we can,
Okay.
uh,
Yeah, I pulled our, the 5 steps to beginning.
yes.
Well, that was the group. And so I was thinking maybe we could use some of that as far as you're talking about like the chapters.
And then what is it that the course that was going to be put up on
Yes.
the website, see how
Uh-huh.
far along we are on that.
Right.
And so I will do that. Why don't you let me do that, and then I'll talk to you and ask questions and get some of your information that
Okay.
you've already gotten.
Okay.
But since you're preparing for the retreat, and uh, there's a lot
There
to
was
do
some,
at the
yeah,
beginning,
yeah.
and I don't want to add to what you have to do. So
Okay.
what if I just go ahead and do that on the
Okay.
initial uh,
Okay. That'd be great.
information?
So
Okay.
the
All right.
6th, 10th.
So those that are listening and you heard your assignment,
Get
I
to
will
work.
also outline, yeah. And if you have questions, just write them to us, and uh, we can do that. I'm sorry that it worked. I really apologize. I kind of dropped the ball uh, uh, after we'd set the date, and I had planned to contact everyone, and it just didn't happen. I'm very sorry. Uh,
Oh,
there's a lot of
it's
things
all
that happen.
understandable. Yes.
everybody,
Yes.
everybody
Yes.
has
Yes.
uh, things. So February the 23rd, would we want to say 8 o'clock or 7:30 Eastern time, which works best for
Um,
you? Those people on Central Time, I always wonder about supper, and because
yeah. To me, like 7, I mean, which is 7 now, some to 8, that I wouldn't really want to put it any later than 8:30.
Well,
so
I don't,
7.
I was just thinking earlier, say
Oh,
7:30,
earlier
six
for
thirty.
me, earlier would be better.
Okay,
Like
so if we want to
6
say,
or 6:30 would be better.
okay,
But
so what if
it's
we say we start at 7 on the 23rd? Does
Okay.
that work, Marilyn?
Yep.
Okay.
okay. So that'll be 6 Central.
6 Central.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, that's
February
fine.
the 23rd.
Hmm.
All right. Any other questions?
I think that's a good plan. I
Yeah.
will
Okay.
um I will save this video and I'll go ahead and send a link out to everybody so that everybody.
Okay. And I'll look over it too. And then see if Nathan can attend,
Yeah.
or if we want to have another meeting before he comes, whatever you think, Marilyn, after you
Yeah.
talk to him.
Okay. Good.
All right.
Uh,
Anything else?
Okay.
Thank you all so much.
Okay. Thank
Appreciate it. I
you.
appreciate your prayers. And uh, we're going to visit our other sister. Clayton and I are planning a trip next week.
mm,
She's devastated. It's a family dynamic that was very, uh, even though she was not older, my Brenda, who passed away, was the baby, but she was a
mm,
protector for her other sister and did a lot of things for her because of her lifestyle, and things were very hard.
mm.
So so we need to do that.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
they in? Does she live in Kentucky or is she in another area?
Um,
She's back in
my
Barberville
sister
area.
lives in Barberville. She
Yeah, she's
still
still
is.
okay.
She's the only one who stayed in Barberville of our
Okay.
siblings. And yeah, and she's had a really hard life.
Mm.
Uh, so just so I appreciate your all's help.
Thank you for your leadership, Charlotte.
Yes.
uh, goodness.
Mm.
Well, it's only, because of all the people. I think I really am. We were very blessed to have the executive team that we had the last 2 years. I think we
Yes.
had everybody did jobs, because we've had times when, people haven't pulled their weight or whatever. So, and even in the past, I think there was a president who was elected who never went to any meetings. That was what uh, uh, June told me. She was so funny how she would even name names. She go, oh, so and so was. She reminded me of Sarah Taylor, who was a single woman missionary in Argentina, and she had arrived in Argentina in the late 40s when we got there. So she had worked with women, but at the time she was working in the mission office. And one day I went in the office and she was in there, and she said, Charlotte, she said, so and so got a postcard from somebody, and she had read it. She'd read this postcard, and she was telling me all this.
Oh my.
So, there were she didn't have boundaries. So she said, I have the name of everybody. All the policies have certain missionaries' names on them.
Oh my goodness.
Mm.
But she'd been there so long, it
You ran the
was
show.
fun. So,
Mhm.
so anyway, well, thank you all. Bless you. And Charlotte, I look forward to seeing you in Huntsville. And don't hesitate to ask. And Marilyn,
Yep.
another what another adventure, another baby.
Yep. Next week is her induction if she doesn't go into labor before then. So
What Laura, our daughter in Argentina, we went there. She had a date for the delivery because her first one was a C-section because of some complications. So they had planned the second one. And we got there about 4 days when she went into labor. And so it was wild getting her to the hospital, and
Mm,
they slowed things down and did do a section, but it was like it
mm.
was a good thing we got there when we did because we ended up being on baby duty a lot quicker than we thought. So, it happens sometimes.
That's right.
So, yeah. And so, well, good night. Thank
All
you
right
again.
Thank
then.
you.
Love
Thank
Take
you.
you.
care.
Bye
Good
bye.
All
night.
right. All right. Goodbye.
Good night.